Dedication and Prologue of For the Term of His Natural Life. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Landy. For the Term of His Natural Life by Marcus Clarke. Dedication to Sir Charles Gavan Duffy. My dear Sir Charles, I take leave to dedicate this work to you, not merely because your 19 years of political and literary life in Australia render it very fitting that any work written by a resident in the colonies, and having to do with the history of past colonial days, should bear your name upon its dedicatory page, but because the publication of my book is due to your advice and encouragement. The convict of fiction has been hitherto shown only at the beginning or at the end of his career. Either his exile has been the mysterious end to his misdeeds, or he has appeared upon the scene to claim interest by reason of an equally unintelligible love of crime acquired during his experience in a penal settlement. Charles Reade has drawn the interior of a house of correction in England, and Victor Hugo has shown how a French convict fares after the fulfilment of his sentence. But no writer, so far as I am aware, has attempted to depict the dismal condition of a felon during his term of transportation. I have endeavoured in His Natural Life to set forth the working and the results of an English system of transportation, carefully considered and carried out under official supervision, and to illustrate in the manner best calculated, as I think, to attract general attention, the inexpediency of again allowing offenders against the law to be herded together in places remote from the wholesome influence of public opinion, and to be submitted to a discipline which must necessarily depend for its just administration upon the personal character and temper of their gaolers. Your critical faculty will doubtless find in the construction and artistic working of this book many faults. I do not think, however, that you will discover any exaggerations. Some of the events narrated are doubtless tragic and terrible, but I hold it needful to my purpose to record them, for they are events which have actually occurred, and which, if the blunders which produced them be repeated, must infallibly occur again. It is true that the British Government have ceased to deport the criminals of England, but the method of punishment, of which that deportation was a part, is still in existence. Port Blair is Port Arthur filled with Indian men instead of Englishmen, and within the last year France has established at New Caledonia a penal settlement which will, in the natural course of things, repeat in its annals the history of Macquarie Harbour and of Norfolk Island. With this brief preface, I beg you to accept this work. I would that its merits were equal, either to your kindness or to my regard. I am, my dear Sir Charles, faithfully yours, Marcus Clarke. The Public Library, Melbourne. Prologue. On the evening of the 3rd of May, 1827, the garden of a large red-brick bow-windowed mansion called North End House, which, enclosed in spacious grounds, stands on the eastern height of Hampstead Heath, between Finchley Road and the Chestnut Avenue, was the scene of a domestic tragedy. 3 persons were the actors in it. One was an old man, whose white hair and wrinkled face gave token that he was at least 60 years of age. He stood erect, with his back to the wall which separates the garden from the heath, in the attitude of one surprised into sudden passion, and held uplifted the heavy ebony cane upon which he was ordinarily accustomed to lean. He was confronted by a man of 22, unusually tall and athletic of figure, dressed in rough seafaring clothes, and who held in his arms, protecting her, a lady of middle age. The face of the young man wore an expression of horror-stricken astonishment, and the slight frame of the grey-haired woman was convulsed with sobs. These 3 people were Sir Richard Devine, his wife, and his only son Richard, who had returned from abroad that morning. "So, madam," said Sir Richard, in the high-strung accents which in crises of great mental agony are common to the most self-restrained of us, "you have been for 20 years a living lie. For 20 years you have cheated and mocked me. For 20 years, in company with a scoundrel, whose name is a byword for all that is profligate and base, you have laughed at me for a credulous and hoodwinked fool, and now, because I dared to raise my hand to that reckless boy, you confess your shame, and glory in the confession." "Mother, dear mother," cried the young man, in a paroxysm of grief, "say that you did not mean those words. You said them but in anger. See, I am calm now, and he may strike me if he will." Lady Devine shuddered, creeping close, as though to hide herself in the broad bosom of her son. The old man continued.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?